Yo, what is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be breaking down a really interesting social media case study of a startup that exploded and went viral on social media with guerrilla marketing, trying to infiltrate the minds of TikTok viewers. They actually went almost too undercover and too guerrilla marketing to the point that they actually got caught up in a conspiracy theory and almost got canceled, and they haven't really been able to recover their social media presence ever since then. It's a really interesting social media case study, not your typical like rise to success and writing it out forever. This is actually showing some of the dangers of social media as well, and some of the factors that led up to it. I think there's a lot to learn, especially for SaaS startups that want to have some more creative marketing angles. And by the way, if you are new here, my name is Thomas and my co-host name is Andrew, and we've built and scaled multiple SaaS accounts to thousands of followers and millions of views with viral videos on social media. And we love breaking down and analyzing social media strategy for different accounts and different startups as well. And we also just love talking about general social media tips, tricks, strategies, and topics. And if you're interested in that, then definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so Andrew, I'm going to be talking about a very, very fascinating account, in my opinion. It's called Oops Finance App. You know, do you use any budgeting apps like Mint, Copilot, anything?
No, I don't use any budgeting apps. I use like Acorn once, you know, the one that like rounds up your purchases in your dollar and invest it for you. And I was like, fuck that shit, dude. I just throw everything into a high yield savings account.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'll figure out my finances myself. But anyway, continue on.
Well, so essentially, you know, I'm pretty sure some of the viewers that are watching this know this, but budgeting apps are super popular. It keeps track of all of your expenses by connecting to your bank accounts. You label, tag certain accounts. Pretty big market. And there's one app in particular. It's called Oops Finance. And they went really viral on social media maybe a year ago or so. Essentially, the content that they were making was so clever. In the end, they actually got canceled because they were almost being like too secretive about the content that they were creating, like not owning up to the fact that they were a brand account. So right now, the account, it has a dedicated handle called Oops Finance App. So they're very clear that they're a brand account. But earlier, they did not have a dedicated brand account. These accounts have since been deleted. It would just look like a normal person's profile, like Thomas Kim 5233, Andrew Meng 2211, right? Random people, but they would make these videos about like what a tech billionaire's daughter spends in a week, what a Russian billionaire spends in a week living in the US. And it's essentially, it looks like a very natural video where they're filming and recording this person swiping through their finance app, Oops Finance App, showing all their biggest transactions for the week, just swiping. So it really showcased the app, and it would show like, oh my God, this tech billionaire's daughter spent $23,000 in a week. This Russian billionaire and living in the US spent $50K in just 1 week. And it would be like, oh my God, like, wow, like how do they spend so much money? And you know, us non-multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire people, we are so curious to see how the ultra rich live. We want to see what type of transactions that they're making. How much better or different is their lifestyle from us? And this video series went super viral. And then the way that they even like layered on top of it from the get-go, it was a brand video, but it was actually a very, very good concept of not looking too brand-esque by looking just like filming on a vertical phone, nothing crazy. It was almost like two friends just hanging out with each other. And then what they would do would be they would get someone else on social media, probably another account that they own, like a burner account. Every single one of these videos, someone would comment, what's the app? What's the app? What's the app? And then they would end up commenting, oh, Oops Finance, Oops Finance, Oops Finance. And then eventually people started to catch wind of this. They're like, oh, like this isn't like a normal account.
So they like commented themselves and stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Try to create fake engagement, fake hype and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Fake engagement, fake hype, fake controversy as well, because maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess that these Russian billionaires, these tech billionaire daughters, they probably weren't actually tech billionaire daughters or Russian billionaires. They're probably just like a internal test account that they created, crazy looking transactions to make for a better piece of content, which is clever. I'm going to give it to them. It's very, very clever what they did. But I think, in my opinion, the reason why they ended up getting canceled and their eventual downfall of getting caught into like a conspiracy theory, essentially what happened was that people would start posting videos being like, guys, Oops Finance App is a scam. They're stealing your info. It's not a legit finance app. Do not put your money in. Literally, if you go to TikTok right now and look up like Oops Finance App scam, I'm pretty sure you're going to see some search results with questions about whether or not Oops Finance is a scam, is stealing your info, is it real or not? And in my opinion, I think the reason why there was such harsh backlash towards this was because the original account did not own up to the fact that they were a brand account. They tried to come off as a regular person, and it just seemed really dishonest. They're like, no, I'm a regular person. Like, no, I'm not a brand account. I just have really rich friends that I'm going to show you their transactions and their financial history. But because they were trying to be too organic and not owning up to the fact that they're a brand account, I think that put a bad taste in people's mouths, and it caused a lot of people to become really suspicious about the app. Even though I do think it's a legit finance and budgeting app, you know?
Interesting.
I think my 2 cents on this topic is that, for number one, I'm going to say this. The content format itself was so good. Such a clever format. Great way to go viral. I think there's nothing wrong with the format itself. I think it's just execution of it plus the niche of the app. The fact that the app is about your personal finances, your budget, that's so intimate, so personal. Like, most people do not share that information with other people. For that app specifically, you need to have a high degree of trust with your users. And I think the social media team at Oops Finance didn't recognize that. And that's why they ended up making a lot of content from accounts that were kind of lying to users, pretending not to be a brand account, when in fact they really were. So it's almost like a disconnect from the dishonesty of their account versus the high trust that the product itself actually requires that caused this huge backlash. Like, there's just like different levels to it. Whereas I think if this is just like any other like more chill SaaS tool, like, I don't know, Jenny, like an AI writing tool, it doesn't matter. There's no controversy that's going to come out of it. It's going to be like, oh, like, this person must just be like a covert brand account. Who gives a fuck? You know, it's like, it doesn't matter. They're not stealing my personal information. But this app itself is so intimate. I think that dishonesty creates a huge barrier. By the way, if you're a founder that is interested in marketing your product on social media, then you want to check out the contentmarketingblueprint.com. It's a database of SaaS products that have successfully grown and marketed themselves on social media, and we track the accounts and all of their formats that they're posting, so you can filter down all the accounts and formats by their niche to see what exactly is working for other products in the niche that you're interested in. You can check it out at the contentmarketingblueprint.com.
Sometimes, picking back off what you say, is I think what they did was very genius, right? In terms of making it seem very organic to social channels and leading it into like, we're not a brand account. Because the truth is that when most people on social media see a brand account, they immediately start scrolling off because they're like, oh, this is a brand account. They're about to sell me something. I don't want to see it. Brand accounts generally have a harder time building a strong following base than, let's say, like more of like a person/personal brand, for obvious reasons. No one wants to follow brand accounts on social media nowadays, at least. But this is one of those sides where it's like, if you lean too much into not bringing a brand account, and then the audience, they're not stupid nowadays. People know when other people are marketing a product over to them, especially in 2023, 2024. If you try to do this again today, not saying it can't work, it can definitely be smart about it, but we always like lean towards the philosophy of being upfront and honest that you are a brand account, right? Because if you're upfront and honest with your audience, being like, look, we are a brand account, we have a product to sell you, but at the same time, look, we'll make fun and entertaining content for you once in a while too, right? Or maybe not once in a while, like on a consistent basis too, but we're also going to be plugging our product. People like that nowadays, because I think social media went from a place where when it first started in TikTok 2020, people were kind of like confused and not too sure what's happening on the platform. So at that point, brand accounts and both personal accounts both did well since no one was good at content. Then it went to a phase in 2021, 2022, where people were getting sick of seeing ads. They were like, all these brand accounts suck. I just want to follow people that are like making fun and interesting content for us, right? So then Oops got into that time where it was very smart in terms of like, we are not, in which they played a game of not being a brand account, but still being able to sell a product to the audience. But eventually, people now on social media are smarter. They understand when they're being sold something on these different platforms. So in today's world, we definitely do recommend, like, if you are a brand account, just be upfront of it that you are a brand account, you are selling something. Because if you are to go with the strategy, again, it can work, but people aren't dumb, is what we're trying to say. Right? People aren't dumb on social media anyways. And I always say this too, you rather have 10,000 followers that love your product, love your brand, than 100,000 followers that don't even care about you. And they just like either like the creator that's making content or the fun and entertaining / educational content you're making on a brand account, right? You want to have a balance, and it's very smart to be upfront with that. Like, you're here to sell a product to the audience and stuff. People almost appreciate that nowadays, is something I want to say, if you're not lying about it. Also, one more thing I want to add, a lot of times people don't know what the brand is. A lot of times people just watch the video once, and if you don't put the name of the brand inside the video, or you're scrolling by it too fast, or the video's happening too fast, people don't catch the name. So it actually helps a lot of time if the name of your account is actually the name of your company / brand too, so people can just go and Google it afterwards. I think it's so funny when I see like a lot of people in the comments asking like, what's the website, what's the company? And in my eyes, I'm like, it's so simple, like they mentioned it, but sometimes people miss it and they didn't hear it. So it also just helps having a brand name there too.
While the journey to building up a social media account on a brand account, like a dedicated brand account, is going to be harder, because like you mentioned, like people are kind of like people get the ick from brands for the most part, but it is a harder journey. But if you can crack it, the payoff is it's much better.
Yes, you know? Yes. Like, have that brand awareness of like, yes, we are a brand account. What you gonna do about it? But We also make fun, interesting content, and we have a product that you're gonna love. Because when you start shying away that you are a brand account and people sense that like you're trying to pretend that you aren't who you are, people actually hate that. You actually will start getting some backlash. Like I was looking through some of the comments, and some of the comments will be like, granted, look, I'm gonna be upfront right now. People also say this on brand accounts in the comments, so this is not, exclusive to you pretending to not be a brand account like these type of videos are. But people be like, hey, why don't you say this is sponsored content, right? I saw those in some of the comments. And in my eyes, I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna happen if you are trying to promote a product, but you're hiding the fact that you are a brand account that people can't tell in the comments sometimes. But overall, look, if I'm going to be completely real and honest right now, I don't think it's that deep. I still think it's a pretty smart strategy, but I just personally like going with the strategy of just be upfront that you are a brand account, because I think that has extreme long-term potential of building out your brand identity, and also helps with like brand awareness. Just like I said before, your account, it has the name, people know who you are, they can go Google it afterwards and they heard of your brand name.
A lot of accounts get away with this type of behavior where like they make like less branded brand accounts, basically like trying to be like try to come up on social media as a normal person. And 99% of the time it's chill, no one cares, right? Like Boop's finance app is probably just, unfortunately, they got caught up in a bad PR cycle where they got caught by the algorithm in a bad way, right? This is an exception rather than the norm. So I can't even discourage this tactic all that much. This is just one cautionary tale that I stumbled upon on social media to share with you, just to know that it's not always, with social media, there's highs are high, but the lows can be pretty low. And this was a pretty bad low for them. So,
all right. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Cool.
I like it.
I think that's it.
All right. That's a wrap.
See you in the next one.
All right. See you.